Hey guys, Break here, and today we're going to be talking about how to make gold with the crafting professions such as blacksmithing, engineering, leatherworking and tailoring towards the end of Battle for Azeroth. Now I will be doing separate videos on how to make gold specifically with all of the professions, but I thought I would first of all do a general crafting professions tips video because I've found them to be very profitable at the moment and something that can still make a lot of gold even if you're on a very high populated server. And that's the great thing about the crafting professions, they really don't have much competition because most people generally look towards stuff like enchanting and alchemy. But towards the end of an expansion, and particularly right now, when lots of people are leveling up, making use of their level and the reputation boosts which are now in the game, the crafting professions really are very good. And even if you have rank 1, like on one of my alts, which is the blacksmith, I have rank 1 in all of the uncanny combatants, they still make profit. This is just the general profits, but if I get some good stats, they can make even more, and we will talk about that a bit later. And for those of you who don't know, this is of course Trade Skill Master that shows my profits. I know I always get comments on my videos what add-on I'm using, and I've done lots of T.S.M at Trade Skill Master videos, so just look up one of those and learn Trade Skill Master if you haven't already, because that's going to be the biggest boost you can possibly make to your gold making. If your crafting professions are on an alt that you haven't played in a while, make sure you actually have the right gear, which is the combatant's gear. Do not use the sinister gear because that is 340, and do not use the notorious gear, that is item level 370. You want the uncanny combatant's gear, which is item level 400. And to unlock that, you have to go do a few quests in Nazjatar to unlock the main base, and then you can go learn some recipes from the profession trainer in Nazjatar. Then once you've leveled up your profession to 160, 165, you can finally learn the uncanny combatant's gear at your main profession trainer. Now, one of my main tips, I was going to put this at the end, but I'm going to put it near the start, and that is to post your gear at different prices depending on the stats. Now this is kind of easier for anyone to do nowadays because of the new auction house, but always check at what sort of price your different stats are selling for, because probably you're going to be making more profit than what T.S.M suggests, because what T.S.M does suggest is the profit for the lowest priced item on the auction house, whereas actually the profit could be much more. For example, for the Uncanny Combatant's Plate Arm Guards, T.S.M says I'm going to make 1,524 gold profit. That's based off it selling at 2,000 gold, which is the cheapest. But that's if it's an Arm Guards of the Aurora. Remember, when you craft an item, it will have different stats depending on the proc. And yeah, so Arm Guards of the Aurora will make me the 1,500 gold profits. But if I proc a Firefly, for example, the Crit Haste, which I think are pretty good stats for plate wearers, then that sells for a lot more. So instead of making 1,500 gold profit, I'm going to make 12,000 gold profit. And this is the key to making gold with the crafting professions. You need to post at the different stats. And obviously you're not always going to be making the 12,000, but at least it can average out to sort of 5,000. And all of a sudden, instead of making 1,500 gold on average, you're making 4,000, 5,000 gold on average. Now, the way to really cover the market is to craft a lot. Realistically, you want to make sort of 5 or 10 arm guards and post all of the different ones at the different prices. And maybe 10's a bit excessive, but you need to make a few. Because if you're only making one, then people who only want your stats are gonna buy it. But if you make a lot more, there's going to be a lot more likelihood of someone wanting those stats and you selling. And it's really, really important that you do this. And again, something like the shield, versatility is a really good stat for any tank. So the versatility, mastery ones are much more expensive than the others. Now, if you're on a less populated server, you may craft something that isn't even on the auction house. For example, you get like a haste mastery, and there isn't any haste mastery shields on the auction house. That means that you can probably price it higher than the normal, because there could be someone who's really after those stats, and they're willing to pay a few thousand more gold to get it. You guys really would be surprised how obsessed people are with the stats. I've been making gold with professions for the past however many expansions, I don't even know, but it's been one of my biggest gold makers. And the way I do it always is the different prices. It is a bit different now because Blizzard have made it really easy to see the different prices. So before it was kind of only the gold makers would set it at different prices, and now kind of everyone does. But that doesn't change the fact that people can more easily buy at different prices now. So to be honest, it's just as good to sell at the different prices than it ever has been. So this is something you really, really need to do, and it is the most important thing for making gold with the crafting professions. Whilst you can make gold with rank 1s, it is obviously better to have rank 2s and rank 3s, which you get with Marks of Honor. And the good thing about Marks of Honor is they are account bound, so you can earn them on one character and then send them over to the character you want to get the ranks on. Farming Marks of Honor is kind of annoying. The best way to get it, I think, is the Comp Stomp Brawl, but all of the brawls really are quite good for getting Marks of Honor, but particularly the Comp Stomp one because it is against the AI and it's very easy to win. But yeah, just doing BGs or arenas if you're a PvPer is another great way to get them, but I agree they're pretty annoying to farm. In terms of profits, my Uncanny Combatant's Leather Treads at rank 1 makes me 2,783 gold. I'll learn the rank 2. It's now at 2,900 gold, and I'll learn the rank 3. And it's now at 3,035 gold. So as you can see, getting up the ranks does make it cheaper, but not ridiculously cheaper. It's not the same as with something like Enchanting, where you really need rank 3, or with Alchemy. It's not the same. It does make it cheaper, but you can still make good profit with just the rank 1s. The only time this changes is with some of the weapons, because they cost more to make. So the Uncanny Combatant's Staff at rank 1 made me 6,700 profit, but at rank 2 it makes 8,400 profit. And if we get the rank 3 and we learn it, it will make us 9,600 profit. So with the weapons, it does make more of a difference. And this is another thing, guys, when we're talking about the crafting professions, we're usually talking about just blacksmithing, tailoring, leatherworking, and a bit of engineering. But don't forget things like jewel crafting and even inscription. These professions can also make some weapons, and they can be fairly profitable. And usually they're markets that aren't very saturated, there's not much competition, so do make use of everything, and particularly those weapons and stuff like the staff for jewel crafting can be good. Now, one of the main things to be wary of is Expulsom. Obviously, if you're going to be doing a lot of crafting, you're going to need a lot of Expulsom, which means you're going to have to be doing a lot of scrapping. Now, as many of you will know, the best way to get Expulsom on most servers is to just scrap Tide Spray linen braces. But sometimes the leatherworking braces can be best. And if you want to have a useful thing with Trade Skill Master that will check the price of your Expulsom and will record it, then you have to go onto crafting, materials, then type in Expulsom, and then paste into the box this little formula. It's too big to put on here, but I'm going to put it in the description down below. And what this does is it checks the price of the leatherworking braces and the tailoring braces, and whichever one is cheapest to make Expulsom, it will put Expulsom to that price. So right now, disenchanting, I think you have to get around 6 tailoring braces, or expulse, whatever you call it. Making Expulsom out of tailoring braces is usually around 6, I think. So the price of 6 tailoring braces is about 150 gold. So that's why my Expulsom price is 150 gold. It is really important that you set a price for Expulsom, because otherwise it won't show up with the profits in your Trade Skill Master profession window. Most of you obviously know this, but some of you might not. So yeah, you need to set the price of Expulsom to something, preferably something accurate like the string I just sent you. But anything would be useful, because then it will actually show up the profits you can make. I know I already mentioned this, but definitely don't forget the other professions and the armor and weapons they can craft. Like I said, inscription as well can make some really profitable offhands or main hand items, which you should not forget about. Now I have rank 3s on most of the blacksmithing gear, and I don't think it sells quite as well as the tailoring and leatherworking, apart from the weapons, which sell really, really well. But it does, all of it does still sell fairly good and very, very profitable. So again, if you're looking for something on your server that maybe has a bit less competition, then think about moving into some of these professions. And yeah, blacksmithing weapons and shields are really, really good. Anyway guys, that is it for this video. Thank you for watching. Hope it was useful. I'm going to be making specific profession videos for each profession very soon, so stay tuned for that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, see ya.